Hello. Thank you for clicking another one of my videos here. I just want to say thanks to some of the new subs that I got over the last night there. Thank you, about 10 of you guys. Welcome aboard. Today we're just going to be looking at Bitcoin here as it's on another one of its runs. Currently around 7 p.m. EST, it is being traded at just under 34,000. As we all know, Bitcoin is wildly volatile, but let's hop into the charts here and have a look at some of the action of today. So here are those charts there. This is in GMT, Bitcoin over US dollar. Currently making all-time highs, roughly a high of 34.3 thousand USD. On the in the short term, last 5 hours or so, you can see it is making higher lows. So it is still on an upward run right now. But you know, everyone knows with Bitcoin that can end at really any moment. Generally likes to run up after hours and crash after hours in the same after hour period. After hours relative to North American trading hours. That's pretty much the gist for the charts. Don't want to spend too much time, obviously. If we move on over to the news side of things, we can see some good news in the gambling side of Bitcoin here. Gambling tech giant IGT patents way to fund bets with Bitcoin. It's pretty cool. Here's some on Ethereum being a better option than corporate bonds. More price targets, $146,000 BTC target from JP Morgan's. That is insane. I mean, if you're really into Bitcoin, that's obviously a great thing to see. And then there's stuff like this. Bitcoin trader robbed and pushed out of car in Hong Kong. Wow. That's not something to be laughed at, but you know, something interesting for us to look at. Going to hop on over to our whiteboard here and just touch on this topic right here. What if you don't have 30,000 US dollars to spare and go ahead and dump into Bitcoin? Well, what are your options? There are leveraged options. We're not going to do that because trading on leverage is something I don't do and something I don't suggest for beginners for sure. Cheaper coins, the Ethereum, nah, like I said, we're not going to buy into crypto. What are we going to do? We're going to check out some mining stocks. The stock I'm going to be picking today and talking about is a Canadian stock, so I'm going to go ahead and throw up an American ticker stock here. I'm not going to look into it, do any due diligence for you guys here, but thought I would throw that one out there. You guys can have a look at that one on the American side. Not a suggestion, not advice. Just the one I would be looking at if I was spending my money in American dollars. So what stock is that? That stock we are going to be looking at is ticker symbol HUT on the TSX, Hut 8 Mining Corporation. Currently traded for $3.98, down from its highs that were established today. Market capitalization 885 million Canadian, and an earnings per share of negative $0.219 per share. So a company that is not currently making money, or at least from the previous financial statements, they are not making any money, which we'll go into. We have those open right here. But with this current boom in Bitcoin price, as you can see over that same similar amount of time, this stock has doubled in price. And we're going to look in to see if there's any more room for us to make some money. So here are those financial reports. This one was submitted early October, or end of September, and was released early October of last year. So these numbers are up to date up until that point, right before Bitcoin started going on another massive run. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time reading through these numbers. Here's their main balance sheet that you guys can have a look at. That way you can kind of get a quick glance. One thing, if you are new to reading these financial statements, one of the awesome things, one of these little tidbits that you could take away from this video is go into some of these terminologies that are in the MDAs, and you can find stuff like mining profit and cost per Bitcoin. Things that most people would know to look for, but when you actually search for them in the financial statement, cost per Bitcoin, nothing, right? I'm gonna stop making a beep in your guys' ears. There's nothing there. So it will tell you how the company evaluates that metric, and you can go ahead and take those numbers from their balance sheet and do those on your own. So I am gonna skip going through that document itself and just instead start up a little chart here for you guys to follow along with the numbers that I've chosen, and we can do some evaluations here and see kind of where the money is left for us to make, and whether this company is going to have their head above water once as the Bitcoin market continues to blow up. So here the COR is going to be cost of revenue. Going to have VOB, value of Bitcoin, and then that margin. So if we look at the value of the Bitcoin they had on their previous financial statement, come out to roughly 78 million Canadian. That's right, Canadian underneath that. And if we extrapolate and say they're going to mine another 1,000 in this quarter, which is the rough average of what they've mined in the last 3 quarters, we will get a value of Bitcoin for this quarter of 43 million Canadian. So those margins turn into 75% previously and up to 85% now with the new increase in price of Bitcoin. So on the year, that leaves them with a rough cost of revenue of 26 million Canadian, a rough value of mined Bitcoin at 121, and a rough margin on the year at 78.5%. So what are our important takeaways here? I just moved the margin column over here just because it is we're done with those other numbers. The important thing to note here is that their margins have increased. That's quite obvious if you're going to be looking at a mining company that mines Bitcoin. If the cost of Bitcoin goes up drastically, then their margins are going to go up drastically. So that was really the exercise there. What we want to throw in now, I'm going to throw in the market capitalization for Hut here around December 1st, roughly the last time that Bitcoin was 20,000. So that was 183 million Canadian and 385 million now. If we want to turn those into American, we'll get 140 roughly American and 340 roughly American now. So if we remember from the previous margins that we were calculating, the gross revenue for the company was going to be roughly 120 million Canadian. So they're almost being valued on a market cap basis at the amount of revenue they've done. That's why obviously we've seen the bump up in stock price for Hut and why their valuation has gone up accordingly. So why has this happened? The margins have now allowed them to clear more of their debts, clear more of their liabilities, and now they're probably going to be able to post a profit on an earnings per share basis, which is just going to only push this market capitalization up. And obviously that means the stock price. I keep saying market capitalization because it's a way to value the company in a whole, in a relative terminology. Moving back over to the charts and having a look at the price action, starting from that gap up in mid-December, we can see that the price is pretty much wedging, pretty clear wedge here. Gone up, we're into uncharted territories for this stock. So we're going to be looking at mostly momentum-based technicals. At least you should be looking at momentum-based technicals in terms of watching the price move. You're not going to be able to base this on supports and resistances from the past because, as I said, this is uncharted territories. So take that into account. Definitely making higher lows here, slightly lower highs as well. So not the most bullish of possible pennants or wedges, whichever your choice is. But it does look like it's coming to a head here. It looks like it either would have broken out from that today if we creep this down over like that, or if this is still part of the same trend, then it is going to be coming to a head in the next couple trading days here. Moving back over to the Bitcoin charts here, you can see that similar wedging culmination was happening here. These charts extend a little further than the Hut charts because these ones are still active here on Yahoo Finance. The Hut chart stops at 4 p.m. You know, quotes don't generally get those aftermarket quotes, you know, for free. Some of them you can hear on Yahoo Finance, but not always so common. So just a quick look at Bitcoin here. As you know, the miners will generally follow the trends of the overall currency. We see that it did break out of that wedge that we saw in Hut, so maybe we'll see that tomorrow for Hut. Maybe we'll see that in the next couple days for Hut. Not a prediction, not any advice, not where you should put your money, just something I'm watching, just something I'm looking at myself. That therein wraps up the video here. Thanks for watching. Thanks for stopping by again here. If you're new, subscribe, obviously. Trying to put out as much content as I can, so hopefully there's some value for you guys here. Leave a like, as I do really appreciate it. You know how that be. And I hope everybody's having a good week, and safe travels out there.